Okay, everyone, we're finally here. This is my spoiler review of X-Men 97 finale, Tolerance is Extinction Part 3. This was written by the heavy hitters Anthony Satelli and Bo DeMeo and directed by Chase Conley, who's also done an amazing job this whole season. So in the intro, we get a first-time clip of young Charles and young Magneto working together, and that's kind of going to set up their story in this episode. And we also get a clip we haven't seen yet of Emma Frost with the Hellfire Club. Now, the episode opens with young Xavier and Magneto meeting each other in post-World War II time. This is the first time Charles Xavier revealed himself to be a mutant to Magneto, and it is revealed that this is all happening in Magneto's mind. I love the line they gave Magneto here where he says to Charles, "Minds are far harder to bend than metal." And visually, it is great that we're seeing inside of Magnus's mind this storm that goes on through his head and these rough waters we actually see. Now, Professor X means business here. He's like, "Restore Earth's power, I will hijack your mind and force you to do so." And this could shatter both of their minds. So this whole episode is a tease of the villain Onslaught from the comics. We even get a tease later where Bastion's armor will have the wings of Onslaught. So you keep thinking that's what's going to form by the end of the episode, but it twists it because it actually ends up okay between Magneto and Xavier, and they don't completely lose their minds here. It was just amazing visuals of Charles and Magneto here when he is using his full power on Magneto with this amazing score by the Newton brothers, who have not disappointed at all. Now, when he's forcing Magneto to restore power to Earth, of course, this is going to give Bastion all this power, and it's also going to give the Prime Sentinels their power, but we get so many amazing cameos in this episode. We get to see Iron Man for the first time, we see Daredevil, we get to see Doctor Strange again, we see Captain America again, but you also see Cloak and Dagger. Then you see original Black Panther with the Dora Milaje, and of course we see Psylocke, but actual Psylocke, not Morph Psylocke, with Alpha Flight. And Bastion powered up looks amazing. He looks full evil form now. And he gets scarier and scarier as the episode goes on, even to the point where you see one of his eyeballs exposed, which was terrifying. I love when he reflects on how many times Cable has failed to stop him and save his mom. And Cable says back, "But how's your mommy, Sebastian?" That was great. And I love he's about to kill Cable, and the birds start flying away, and you knew something was up. And Phoenix comes. It's this white Phoenix. It's amazing. Storm's reaction makes it here of her laughing with joy. And I love they gave Phoenix this line to Sinister saying, "Sinister, all I do is think." This is referring to Professor X said to her earlier in the season when they showed the clip of when he first met Jean. He said, "All I do is think too." So this was an excellent season payoff here. And she literally pulls out all the mutant DNA he stole, and we see his ugly true self. This was definitely actually my favorite moment of the finale, and I love he looks at Morph showing his reflection. That was great. And Jean says that she could feel the Phoenix Force still deep down in her, and it was coming back to protect her son, which was awesome. And to me, this confirms that the Madeline switch happened after the whole Phoenix incident from the original show. Now, like I already said, Bastion will have this tease of this armor wings that look like Onslaught's. This comes from taking off Cable's arm. And more teases of Onslaught is Magneto having amnesia here. They also sneak in a great line here, which the show always sneaks in great lines. But Cyclops saying to Wolverine, "Don't you dare break her heart. Be the best at what you do. Heal," is great. It's a great way to turn the approach we always have with Wolverine as he's the guy willing to do things no one else is, like killing. And Cyclops here is showing that he has another great use, is healing, and that he's great at that. I also love while all this is going on that Forge and Beast are just quickly in the background restoring a Sentinel they're about to get in. And Rogue has a great line to Sunspot here where she says, "Hey Romeo, odds may be bad, but the cards are always in the X-Men's favor." So it's a nice little nod to how Gambit speaks. And Rogue here has her moment of the season going after Sebastian. His name was Gambit, remember it, she says, and she gives him a nice punch to the face. I had chills during this moment, and I love the headbutt she gets in as well. And I love Sunspot has a moment here, and I like that Bastion calls him the disowned heir because his mother totally betrayed him, but it was cool to see Sunspot use his full powers here. Now, my favorite Easter egg in this episode is actually when we see the Magneto Protocol folder in the White House, and we see the names of all the Magneto actors. That was really cool. Now, they do such a good job of when they show all these cameos and Easter eggs that it means something to the plot. It's not just thrown in there. For example, Magneto in his mind sees Rogue. These are the people he cares about most, and also his children. Polaris, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver. And remember, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver had a full episode with Magneto from the original animated series, figuring out that Magneto was their father. That's a great episode. You should watch it if you haven't. And I love how Professor X is explaining that connection while you're in your life having these dark waters in your mind of others who help you stay afloat and you help them stay through theirs. And I love this moment of Professor X saying to him, I have you, Magnus. I will always have you, even if I'm pulled under too. So that great bond shown between them, and they can kind of separate their differences when they have to. Now, I love this little showdown we get of Jubilee, Nightcrawler, and Cyclops versus Bastion. I love in this episode they showed this absolute rage Cyclops has. A lot of the Cyclops screaming happening here, and he says, you'll never hurt my family again. That was awesome. And it was awesome to see him shooting at Bastion while Bastion is shooting out of his mouth. That was crazy. And Bastion has a great line to Jubilee when she attacks. What will you do, child? Slay me with the 4th of July? And she goes, haven't heard that one before. That was awesome. And when the other X-Men show up in the Sentinel, I love this Morph being able to come out of the Sentinel that high up. He morphs as Sauron. So that was a nice touch, and I'm a huge fan of Sauron, so I thought that was great to see him again. And we had saw him previously in the episode Motendo in the video game. Now, where they surprise you is they set up like there's going to be this big attack by all the X-Men versus Bastion, but Cyclops says, stand down. We are going to do what we have been telling humanity to do for years. Stop fighting the future. And Storm says, embrace it. This really is the biggest message of this season. So I like they had it here in the finale, and they've shown that, and that really sticks with the times. That holds up today. So it probably speaks to a lot of people, and that's what I love about the X-Men. And that's just a big theme you see in the comics too with the X-Men, and I'm glad they highlighted that in their choice here to not just destroy Bastion. And I like they had Cyclops connecting through to Bastion by bringing up the similarities they have about parents they have that are human, and he says they mess up too. That was a great line. But you see Bastion still resisting. He's like, humanity would rather die than have kids like us. And this is where the missiles come, and humans failed again, right? They're sending these Magneto protocol missiles to blow up this asteroid. Now, I don't think Bastion makes it through this. He looks to get into Jean's cover, but we don't see him actually get under that. And this also is going to set up now a lot of setup for season 2. So you have Jubilee and Sunspot get out of the asteroid as Jubilee was falling out and Sunspot saves her. And that will set them up to be with Forge on Earth and Bishop. Now, the rest of the X-Men realize they must stop this asteroid from slamming into Earth. So they're doing the truly heroic thing here. But before they even do that, Cable has this great telekinetic moment with Jean and Cyclops. Cyclops wants to fix his mistake of not saying goodbye, which his father had done to him, and he never wanted to do that, and he had done that earlier in the season to Cable. So he says it now. He says goodbye. And it's nice to see Cable wanted more credit with all the X-Men. You know, he hears all the stories all the time, but, you know, he wants a little love too. And he gets to see Cyclops' eyes, and I love that. And that moment Cyclops says, day you were born, your mother said you had my eyes. I love you, son. He gets to see them. That was so great. It's amazing how many moments in this finale, but in this show in general have had great moments like this, and that's what happens when you have great writers. Now it cuts to the X-Men stopping this asteroid from hitting Earth, and we hear this choir version of the X-Men animated theme, which is awesome. And Morph becomes Jean to say what Jean would say to Logan. I love you, Logan. Stay with me. That was nice. And we get this awesome cameo people are going to love of the animated version of Peter Parker and MJ. And I know a lot of people want the Spider-Man animated series to come back that's in this universe. I definitely think they're going to end up doing that with the success of X-Men 97. Now, Professor X has this big moment finally getting through to Magnus saying, the X-Men and I may not resemble each other, but we are still family. This is another important theme of the X-Men, and again, something that will speak to society today and will help a lot of people. That's the magic of the story of the X-Men, of acceptance and love for one another who are different. And he helps him remember who he truly is, Magneto, but this is the Magneto really from earlier in the season that is helping the vision of Charles and protecting other mutants. And he's the last piece to stopping this asteroid from landing on Earth, and it explodes. Now, this is crazy, and it leads to a 6-month time jump here. You see flowers outside the X-Mansion. Everyone thinks the X-Men are dead, and Bishop shows up to Forge and says to him, something or someone yanked our friends through time, and now we got to go rescue the X-Men. So I'd love to hear theories on who or what that is that did this. But I love seeing Forge have on the wall all the active mutants available. You see there's Colossus, Magic, Iceman, Emma Frost, Havoc. So you see why these characters were only kind of hinted at or morph becoming them this season. But it's amazing how many great characters are in the X-Men universe that you could do a show of this whole team and I'd be interested in it. They're all awesome, so I can't wait to see them get their shine in season 2. So it looks like Forge and Bishop are going to put a team together with that crew. And it's interesting to see Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, they say, are off-world, so that can mean they're up to their own thing with the Avengers, something like that. So I'm sure we'll see a little more of them in season 2. Now, it puts all the pieces together of where everyone's going to be for season 2. We see Cyclops and Jean are in the future in 3968. They see Mother Ascani, who is really Rachel Summers, their daughter. So this is where things get a little confusing with the Summers family. And we see a child version of Nathan. So that's going to be really interesting to see next season. I really like too that they're showing all where the X-Men are, so we don't have this thing about it just being, are the X-Men dead, and we know they really aren't, kind of thing going on, and dragging that out. So they're kind of giving you those answers there, but they do leave a group missing, which we're going to get to. But we also see Rogue, Nightcrawler, Beast, Magneto, and Professor X are in Egypt 3000 BC, so they are with the young Apocalypse, aka En Sabah Noor. And having all those characters there makes me think that's going to be the main storyline of the next X-Men season in Egypt in the past. But I love Beast goes, "Oh dear," to end the whole show. That was such an iconic line to have and end on Beast. And the to be continued showed up. But like I said, it doesn't show you where all the X-Men end up. We know they're definitely alive, Storm, Logan, and Morph, but we don't know where. So I'd also love to hear your theories on where they could be, where they're setting them up. And we get the awesome post-credit scene of present-day Genosha. You see Apocalypse is just thriving alive still. He always stays alive. And we see he finds Gambit's card. So that means we are going to see the Gambit that is the Horseman of Death for Apocalypse, which is awesome to have Gambit come back in any form, and doing that leads the door to have regular Gambit eventually brought back. So that's really exciting. So I really like how they set up for season 2 and had a lot of closure on storylines from this season. I really did like this finale. Wasn't my favorite though. I'm going to give it a 9.4. I still actually like the prior 2 episodes a little better. I think maybe it was just because it felt like it just had that kind of thing that happens with premieres in shows where you have also to wrap things up and have to set things up, so that kind of takes away from some of the feels and excitement that maybe the last 2 episodes had. But nonetheless, I thought it was a great finale to an amazing season. I think this show just passed all expectations. I know it did for me. I love it, and it left me like so excited for season 2 and trying to prepare for withdrawals and like not having a new X-Men episode next Wednesday. So I got to kind of just get excited for season 2. They've already recorded a bunch of it, so it should be sooner than later. And you got to get excited now for Deadpool and Wolverine, see some live action X-Men. And I feel like we might get some kind of connection or tease to X-Men 97 in that movie. So we'll see about that. But check out all my interviews I've done. I have a brand new big interview coming out tomorrow for this show. And check out the ones I've done with Morph, Storm, Beast, Magneto. So many you can check out. And please subscribe. I think I'm just about to hit that 1,000 subs, so it means so much you have no idea. And I'll see you next time.